Alright, so am I supposed to start doing things or no? Alright, how about no? Cocktail 30? It is. Sweet, the door closed. Yay! Hi, DerbyCon people! So, I want to make disclaimers early before I actually get into the slides of disclaimers. I can just be louder. That's fine. So, my disclaimers are pretty clear and pretty even. This is not a tech talk. It has nothing to really do with security track stuff. There's no offense or defense to be had. It is the second time I've ever tried to explain what it's like being in the industry in the capacity that I've been able to be. And the first time I did it because I was really fucking pissed. Oh, I'm gonna swear. But I was really pissed off. And I went to go give my talk the next day and I was like shaking because I was so pissed, and I just deleted my whole slide deck, went to trash, rage quit, deleted it, and just made something. And this is kind of an iteration of that. So if any of those things don't resonate with you, it doesn't offend me that you leave, it doesn't bother me whatsoever. So like, if that's what you need to do, please do it, don't feel obligated. Okay? Cool. Before I start any of this, I fucking love this conference. I do. I love it. And if you don't love it, I don't know what the hell your problem is. It's so awesome to be around such a highly emotionally connected industry of people that really give a shit about each other. That like truly care. Like, y'all truly actually care about each other. And I know it's, I'm not gonna homo up and admit it, but you do. That's why you're in the same fucking room together. Constantly right next to each other, cuddling while you're watching motherfuckers talk. But, like, let's just accept that as a really awesome thing for a moment. And please, thank every one of these people working. Thank every one of these people that put it together, everyone in the hallway, everyone that's wearing a radio. They devote their time to letting you have this experience. So, all right. My disclaimer is pretty easy. I'm rude, I'm crass, it's because I'm a human. And I accept my human for how I human, and if you don't like how I human, I don't care. There's lots of other people. I have trigger warnings because I've been brought up on triggering stuff before. So yeah, cursing, racism, sex, drugs, violence, all the standard shit, right? All the shit that really triggers you, like fear, and truth, and honesty, and emotions, feelings, and stuff like that. The stuff that you won't tell other people you're triggered by, but that's the stuff that hurts. And Chris. That one's for Dave, because he decided to keep bringing up the fucking TV show. So I wanted to give a talk about what it's like to have gone through the shit that I've gone through in the industry. Because at some point or another, you guys have all gone through the same things, and at the very least, it's somebody else I can have a commiserating drink with to be like, man, yeah, that also sucked, and be like, glad we went through it together. There's a big cost being in this industry. And the biggest cost that I've found to my own personal life is that I am forced to wear different masks every single day. Sometimes a lot of masks in the same day. Sometimes I have to go out and I have to be business Chris, but I'm like business Chris with the other side of Chris on me, right? Sometimes I have to be like hacker DEF CON Chris. Which, these are all really different people. Most of them don't get along, right? And that's a hard thing to manage when people are requesting you to go in between each one of them. I have to be like speaker Chris, which is kind of a blend of all of those things, but you have to turn off certain other personal indicators that make you you in order to make it apply to the larger audience. I'm professional drinking Chris. I'd like to note that you can see that the liquid is moving out of the glass, and I still have the glass fully under control. I'm yoga Chris. I'm skier Chris. I'm a rapper every once in a while. You know, I try and make other people uncomfortable at resorts because it feels good to help them stretch their imagination to figure out what's really going on for them. So I can meet them as a real human instead of their perception of me, the guy riding the tiny stone horse in the middle of the resort. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know, just taking it for a ride. I get to be angry Chris. I get to be pirate Chris. I get to be husband Chris with lightsabers. I'm a son, and I'm fucking Santa sometimes. I have to play all these roles, and I have to. I'm required to play these roles. It's not something that I came into that I thought it'd be really fun to make up 40 different personalities for myself. It was the way that I could figure out how I could put enough different masks on to compartmentalize myself to make sure that who I was never got completely overrun by what I was trying to be. Make sense? So maybe I can give you a story of how I started off. I started off in Connecticut singing barbershop with my uncle. I had a divorced family. My dad was gone. My uncle raised me with my mom and my grandma. And it was fun. I got to learn how to perform when I was like a little kid. I'm in the fucking Guinness Book of World Records. How sketchy is that? But it works good for SE gigs. So I was in barbershop. I thought I was like punk rock cyber cool when I was a little kid, right? Because that's how we did it when we had Stonewatch jeans still and didn't have to pay like $1,000 for them. I went to a high school that our only real statistic that we had nationally is that we were second in the country for teen pregnancy. Rockville. When we lost football games, we'd drive over to the other school and we'd just beat up everyone we saw. When shit happened in school, in the time that I was there from my freshman year into my senior year, I had 3 of my friends get shot in the school. I had 2 of my friends get shot in their house, and I got shot at once. Yeah, cyber school. I was the vast minority in the school. I got hospitalized twice because one was because I'm a fucking loudmouth, and after somebody proceeding to tell me how a particular gang was going to beat me up, I thought it was hilarious because they were called the Jungle Brothers, which are still a big giant gang. I'll probably get beat up after this. But I kept calling them the Jungle Bunnies because I thought it was funny. And it was funny when I was in the hospital for like 4 days after they beat me up. I was listening to that shit in high school. Fuck. I can't get away from it. Like, no matter how hard I try in business, I'm fucked. So good. It's like fuzzy bear urine. Not that I know what that tastes like today. All right, so I had a really shitty experience being in high school. It was just hard. I lived a very strange life there. We had to deal with people getting shot, killed, and selling drugs just to make sure no one would mess with you, right? I left. After I left there, I went to Kansas City, And in Kansas City, I had to take on another life. Now I was coming from the East Coast, and from the East Coast, ended up backing down to going to Kansas. I was like, what's going to happen? You know, of course, I'm an idiot, right? I have no idea Kansas even has buildings. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to get a cow, I have to learn farming shit. And I had no idea that there was like legit cool places and stuff there. So, you know, I started meeting people there, ended up in a ska band that toured for a while because I've played saxophone since I was a little kid. And at the same time, I started playing with all these bulletin boards because it was really, really easy because the neighborhood that I was living in Overland Park had all these green boxes everywhere, and it was Kansas, so like the cops didn't think you were doing anything sketchy. You're in Kansas. So that was great because I was like, I had like a ditch witch and I was trenching pears back into my house and running a bulletin board. My mom had no idea what the fuck was going on. I had to learn how siding applied to a house because I was trying to pull telephone cables up in so that I could get another 14 modems into the bank so I could have more people on my BBS. And it was great because, you know, none of those people cared. They didn't even pay attention to it until I left. And you know, then they saw that there was just like shit all over one of the rooms, and I had re-drywalled another wall, and my mom was like, what did you do in the house? And you know, it was as a byproduct of what I call the wedding honesty factor, where you're allowed to like get married and tell your parents the really horrible shit that you've done, and they have to like kind of absolve it because you're like on to the next phase in your life. So I sat there and I told my mom all of this shit. She's just like, wait a second, you put up another wall of drywall. I'm like, yeah, all the modems were behind the wall. And she's like, what? You know, it was cool. Like my homies were always dialing in. So in that, you know, I went the kind of college route. Sort of didn't like that because I was going to be in virology. I said, oh, hey, cool, I'm going to do this because my uncle has AIDS. And I can fix it. Like, it's not that hard. So I started looking at some stuff. I'd gone through a bunch of classes early and pretty much posited to the people in the university, like, hey, I can take like an RNA protease inhibitor and be able to modify leukemia and use leukemia to make like the superpower white blood cells because it's really good at overpowering the system, making white blood cells. I can treat the patient with steroids, this, and this, and we can make them battle all day long, and I can keep it under control. And he was like, that's fucking brilliant. You can never do that. Ever. And he told me to my face, which is what I heard, is your uncle's gonna die and you can do nothing about it. That fucked me up. I'm like, okay, so why can't I? And he's like, because the industry won't allow solutions. All right, fine. Drop the mic, done. I'm done with school, fuck it, I'm out. I can't pursue anything there that's going to interest me. And the whole time I'm still like running my BBS and talking to all these homies that I have in DEF CON and everywhere else. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the computer thing. So I start at this company, Shook, and I'm doing some really fun stuff there, and I was coordinating trial sites, which is effectively like, you know, stringing up T1 lines so that lawyers can bang hookers and do coke and like make money. I wonder if they can actually sue me. I don't think they can. Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, the story at 11. But then, you know, after there, I started working at Sprint, and I was the chief security architect there, and kind of moved into compliance management roles, and got to touch all of the different things in security, from testing, the compliance, to labs, to all this other stuff, and wanted to see security from a different way. So I was like, okay, well, I've been at like the customer, I've now been at the carrier. Let me go to the people who audit the carriers because they're going to have like a totally different view of the same carrier environment. So went to KPMG, and wow, am I not suited for that job. We're just so not compatible. Like just swipe left and keep going. So I get into this company called Alternative Technologies, and they're a big distributor, and they want to start a security practice that they can distribute just like boxes. So, I mean, they want me to go take my man pussy and peddle it on the street and, you know, brand me with their t-shirt, and it's great, right? Because I have 3,000 VARs, I can sell damn near anything that I want, and they knew that I was kind of young and interested in the industry enough and had enough connections in the industry that I could make crazy shit up. And people would buy it. And even if I put it on the line card, if you have 3,000 VARs that are selling to hundreds of clients each, like, you can put really crazy shit out there, like red teaming, right? I'm like, yeah, just let us break in any way we want. And people are like, no, it's 2,000, you can't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I can, we do it all the time. They're like, really, you do? And then one person, like, let us do it. And of course, we had no idea what the fuck we're doing, but we did it, we pulled it off. And then we started going forward and doing more and more and more of it, and I started realizing that I was kind of sick of making all the big, fat, rich white dudes even richer. So I decided to be poor and start my own company. And that was a hard transition. It was a hard transition to go from, like, never being in a sales role to, like, hey, guess what? You can't eat. Why? Because you have your own company. Well, where is the business? You know, and they're like, go get it. And then when you don't know how to get it, you sit there and starve. And it hurts. It's really, really hard. There's nothing about starting a business that's easy. Nothing. Nothing. It's miserable. And we all who really want to do it, we do it at some point. And every single one of us knows, like, yep, that was totally miserable. But at some point, you're like, I'm shooting for that 50-50 factor where I make 60%. And you get there. While all that was going on, my personal life was creeping into my professional life. I didn't realize how profound of an impact my connection with the people in DEF CON and the community and security was really who I was personally. I mean, I was traveling a lot, so I didn't have friends at home. There was no home. Really, I didn't have a home that really existed. At one point, when I was at Sprint, I was my first marriage that I fucking ruined. I was doing all of this security stuff. And I was doing so much more security stuff and so much less husband stuff that she rightfully cheated on me, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I was absentee. And it was so hard because I had no delineation between work and personal and fun and home life anymore. It was 24 hours a day, I did the same thing. Then I get a ton of smoke blown in my ass because they make a fucking TV show about us. Right? So now, to add insult to injury or gas on the goddamn fire, now people are putting us on TV for the poor behavior that I've been going through of never separating anything in my life. And then we get a podcast, and people are, obviously wildly interested in that. I start having my famous friends making jokes that are really funny. Yeah, that's probably my favorite post that I think I've ever seen. And some of those things kind of flip a switch in me and go, all right, you have to do something. And unfortunately, now I know better, but at the time, I go, what am I going to do? Well, I have to give back to the people that have gotten me here, which is all of you guys. So, okay, I'm going to start doing things with conferences and trying to make shit free and trying to get people together to share information like we used to. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to go give talks to other groups of people that I know I would probably never be able to get in front of, but I've got just enough moxie and, like, I dress up nice enough when I really have to that, like, I can pass for somebody who's legit to expose to them. And then I start going to other friends of mine and I'm like, hey, what can we all do collectively to make it better, right? I'm trying to absolve my own sins by my charity to the industry. And I have a feeling that some of us in here have done that a lot. So then I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to make some standards, we're going to fix this stuff, which makes me fly around all over the place, right? So at one point, in the last couple of years, I was averaging like 270 to 290,000 miles a year. That's a shitload of flying. If you don't fly, it's a lot. And that's not just like, oh yeah, I was commuting to Tokyo back and forth. Like, I had 170 segments. That's how you know if you're a real flyer, when you count it in segments and not miles. You're like, yeah, what's up? I did 45,000 miles, 300 segments. Like, what? Like, how do you do that? Kansas City, St. Louis, you know? But somehow, all of this totally wrong shit I was doing in my life put me to a point where people are like, oh, you're a rock star. You fly around and do all these things all the time. And I'm like, fuck, no, I'm not. I'm like, you don't understand what's going on behind the curtain. So I figured the best I could do as acknowledgement for what I've been given from every one of you and from the industry is to say, here's what it's like behind my curtain. So what's the cost of doing all of this? Of the people who go, yeah, I want to be the person who flies around and does all this shit, owns your own company and does this and this. A lot of people don't talk about the cost. So I figured I could try. And if I break down and I can't get through it, tough shit, we'll get there some point. First off, this is life. Your life is reduced to a t-shirt. You eat, you sleep, you hack, you do it again. And no longer do you have the fun parts of living. You are so enrolled in the reality of what you've created that nothing exists to do outside of it. You can't do things outside of it. Even if you wanted to, those options aren't even there because you don't choose to have them there. The blinders are on, and this is the life you have to live. Then you start getting to a point where you're like, oh, I met this person, they're really cool, let's go have a drink. All right, I met this person, they're cool, let's have a drink. All right, I have to go fly to this place. Man, I'm really tired, I'm gonna have a drink, go to sleep. So I'm drinking constantly. Hold on. At a level that no one really should be. And then people reward you for being a mutant. They're like, dude, you were up at 5, raging. It's 6:30, and you're helping people move boxes to get ready for talks. And they're like, yeah. They're like, you're crazy. And it never really resonates to you that you're actually crazy, even though so many people tell you that. You start getting old, and you start getting more tired, which then leads to doing other shit to stay awake. So whether it's weed, whether it's fucking Adderall, whether it's Coke or whatever else, all of these different things start playing into your new life. Because you can't stop living the life that you started. You can't get away from the mask that you've put on yourself. And what happens? You have to compensate for it. Because it's like a shark. If you stop moving, you die. And you're deathly afraid of it. You cannot stand the reality that if I stop doing this one thing tomorrow, I might lose my spot, I might lose my status, I might not be able to do this, I might not get this ass-blowing smoke from the community, I might not have any leverage, I might not be able to get to fucking DerbyCon because I can't get a ticket, or whatever else. And all of these things come at a huge cost to life. I spent when I first moved to Denver, in between, it's funny, in my career path, you can see like these major explosions in my life every time, right? I left Shook, I went to Sprint, that was kind of my come up in my career. I got to Sprint, I left Sprint, went to KPMG because my wife cheated on me and I exploded, freaked out, flipped a coin, got a divorce, took a moving truck, drove it west because the coin was either east or west. Drove it west, landed in Denver, hung out there for maybe 20 hours. At the end of the 20 hours, I get a phone call that my moving truck had been stolen. This is fucking real. My moving truck with all the shit that I have accumulated my entire life had been stolen as I'm leaving my house that I'm divorcing my wife with. So I freak out, because people freak out when shit bad happens like to that magnitude. And I decide, okay, I'm gonna go live with my grandmother in Italy, because no one's gonna fuck with me there. And it was brutal. I'm like, man, no disrespect to Italy, but it's a third world country with first world culture. And I'm like living on a farm, drinking wine all day. Then I'm like, okay, you're kind of a lazy, worthless bag of shit. You should do something with your life. Have to move back, like go back, get a job with KPMG, which is pretty much just like blowing Satan. And but I needed the money, so whatever, kid. So I get through all that. I'm rebuilding my life. Everything's good. I marry this great girl, Jess, and as things start to get really good again, I start to put more of my time and more of my understanding and more of my effort into my job again, because I'm feeling that I'm getting the money back under me. I'm getting like my status back. Like things are good. And I'm pushing that to myself because my response to myself is like, oh, you're doing this for your family. Like she should appreciate that you're letting her do anything she wants in her life by you nailing yourself to the fucking cross. That obviously didn't work, so that's 2 marriages down because of my career. And then I start getting people really hating on me, right? Because I have opinions. And I think that's part of me growing up in the ghetto school, is that I have opinions, and I kind of don't give a shit if people don't like them. If they don't, fuck it. But there's all these haters. And whether it's people who are being personally hateful to me, or whether it's people in the industry being hateful to me, it really actually hurts. I had this conversation with my present fiance, which, thank God for that woman. Fucking right. I'll explain. She literally saved my life, but I had a conversation with her about racism and how when people say Americans are this, and this, it's kind of excused because we're Americans. And I'm like, that's fucked up. If you said it about any other person in any other country, you'd be racist. But if you say it about an American, you're just like, oh, well, they're Americans. Fucking, they got it. And it hurts. And the same thing hurts with people in our industry. You have people printing magazine articles about you, and they started off with Chris Dickerson is your worst nightmare. That's not shit that my mom's proud of. That's not the type of thing that I go home to mom and I'm like, yeah, look at this. People fucking hate me. Like, that's terrible. And they don't get that because they want people to connect to this fucking FUD. They want people to connect to this image that we put up instead of who we really are and what we really do for a living. The part about it that has hurt me the most is that instead of people trying to attack me, they figured out that I'm the type of person that's not worth attacking because my skin is really thick. And I welcome anyone and their criticism and anyone in their opinions. And I'm more than happy to take them and shove them directly up your ass if you bring them too close to me. I'm happy with that. I'm good with it. I'm the first person, and many of my really close friends will tell you, that be like, oh yeah, jail is cool. I could sleep nice. I don't have to computer tonight. But when the motherfuckers start attacking my fiance and my wife, that's when it really hurts. Because they know that's my point that's vulnerable. So, because of my place in the industry, or whoever hates me, or why ever they hate me, they decided to go after Amanda, who's my fiance. This is a Canadian girl who has no online life, who doesn't computer because she doesn't fucking have to, because she owns part of an oil company. And as soon as they started making all these fake profiles about her, and putting up all this bullshit about her, and tweeting the police, and putting up reviews on her business, and all this other stuff, because of that, her relationship with me was the most toxic thing she had ever come encounter with. I was the reason that her life was being systematically destroyed. And holy shit, is that hard to go through. It's hard. I mean, they took it so far that they were sending used condoms to her office. Yeah. Yeah, that's what you get for being an infosec, a fucking used rubber to your fiance's workplace. That's how respectful people in this fucking industry are. That's how they do it. And it was so hard for me to go through that stuff, but at the same time, the fact that she is such a saint and said, nope, I'm down to ride. That's it. I don't care. Let them send the shit. I hate it. We're going to have fights together. But as far as outside of this house, it's me and you. That's it. We'll fight everyone in the world. And so, even though it was raining, put the umbrella on and put some goggles on, you get through it. But the reason I bring that stuff up is because you have to look forward to that. Once you start getting to a point where you're choosing this profession over your life, you're going to have to realize that at some point, the profession is going to come after you. It's going to. It does it to everybody. So, what can I give back around the lessons that I've learned? The stopping drinking is probably not one of them. So, in the lessons that I've learned, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. If you're pissed about your level of success, work harder. If you're not succeeding and you think you deserve it, you're probably just fucking lazy. And I had to learn that the hard way. I have to learn that constantly every day. When I look at my family and I say, is my family working right now? Or is my company working right now? It is not about all of the external forces. It's not about the people that are emailing stuff or sending condoms or making fake profiles or trolling me or whatever else. It's about how focused am I and am I working? Am I really actually doing it? And if I'm not, what do I do to change it? Failure is a badge of honor. If you don't fail, you have never, ever, ever tried hard enough. You have to fail to learn. And that's something that I think people in our industry take for granted in such a profound way, is that everybody pretends that they've never failed. Right? When your demo fails online, your demo fails in the middle of your presentation, don't get pissed, throw your laptop away. Like, just keep going. When things break, appreciate how they broke and take a look back at what you could do to make it not break so that you have a future of that thing not occurring. Don't just say, oh, well, it broke because of this, this, and this. It's too easy for us to reason away why failure occurs. Being the change that you want, I have made a conscious choice to enjoy my life. And I'll tell you, I probably shouldn't. I mean, in the next 30 days, I'm flying about 35,000 miles. But the trade that I have in that is that I've been home with Amanda for the last month and a half. And as shocking as a month and a half is, in the last 12 years of my career, I have never been in a single place for a month and a half. Ever. So it's real weird for me. Real weird. So you have to choose it. You have to pick being happy. The more that any of your conversation deals with you or they or XYZ and it names someone else. My mother told me that the probably deepest thing that I've ever learned in morality is that when you point at somebody, you have 3 fingers pointing at yourself. And I never knew what that was. I mean, shit, through 2 marriages, I still had no idea what the hell that was. But I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get that happiness is something that I choose. It's not something that I want. It's something that I empirically pick.
I don't need reason. I don't need to go, well, this and this and this and this and this and this, and if you put those together, here's the statistics, and here's the risk model, and here's that shit, because that's what I fucking do for work every day. Instead, I go, okay, take all these numbers, throw them away. I'm now going to pick being happy tonight. What does that mean? That's a hard skill. That's way harder than Metasploit. Like, way harder. So, if you can actually get to a point where you choose those things, it sets you up for an ability in life that you can really, truly grow and still love what you do. Family is a big thing. And I don't care if that means you have no family because you're an orphan, or if you have a giant family or whatever else. Family is what you make it. And when you make it, continue to make time for it. Never, ever ignore it. If you sit here and go, oh, sorry, I forgot to call you today. You forgot to call your family today? I say that because I've done that hundreds of times in my life. But I think about it and I'm like, why couldn't I have called you at lunch when I was waiting in line? Why couldn't I have said hi or checked in or sent you a stupid, like, whale, clap, happy, 100 fingernail paint, like whatever the fuck, emojis, anything, right? Why didn't I just, like, touch you and check in some way all the time? Because I know when people do that for me, it feels good. It hits my reset button when I'm getting really, really stressed out and it's too intense for me to live. Somebody can send me one stupid text, a shitty picture, a picture of Hitler in gangster rap uniform asking how much did the Holocaust. Like, even if it's dumb or bad, I still love it. It still fucking breaks me out of what's going on. So do it. Just do it. Just choose to do it and fucking do it. Public and private. This is something that I'm still figuring out, so I can't really talk about it. We have to wear our masks. And sometimes you wear those masks for safety, and sometimes you wear those masks because of fear. And my way of dealing with this is by separating public and private into classes. Those classes are people I know because of work or whatever else, just acquaintances. People that are my friends, which are very, very, very small. Because most people who come up to me and they're like, yeah, I know you, or, you know how many times I have to deal with, oh, Nickerson's an asshole? For a motherfucker who's never met me. Never, ever, ever met me. They've met the face, right? They met, like, me talking shit on stage or, like, smashing some company and giggling and laughing at them. But not me as a human, not me as the person that I am with my wife, not me sitting there at the barbecue grill feeding everybody, making sure that my job that night is to make sure that everyone is well-fed and happy. Not that me. They meet the, oh, well, you're on stage and you said you can break into anything. Well, yeah, that's because everybody fucking sucks. It's not because I'm good. But separate some of those things and really truly pick who and why and where you interact with them. Try and take a moment while you guys are here, because this is the biggest problem at conferences that's really hard to deal with, and it's the hardest to deal with for me. Try and take the stance that you're not going to have an interaction with somebody that's not meaningful. And if you're going to sit and talk to someone else and have the, oh, hey, what's up, buddy, 30-second thing, the ability to give them 1 minute, if you can't go past that 1 minute, look them in the face and tell them, I cannot have a meaningful conversation with you right now, but I want to. Because at least they'll understand that you mean that much to them. Oh, I'm going to get fucked later, but But do it. Tell people that you're going to be unreasonable about the meaningfulness of your conversations with them, and that your time and their time is valuable to you, because we do not have a whole lot in this world, but time is something that every single one of us covets. We get our asses worked to the fucking bone. People expect us to bill on multiple projects and do shit like move mountains from here to here in a tenth of the time of what's projected to do it, and we're supposed to do it because, yeah, you're smart security people. But if we can give each other time and really truly mean something about the time that we give each other, I'll tell you, the gifts that you get back from meaningful conversation are unbelievable. They really are. Remember who you are. If you give a talk on, Dave, I love you to death. I do. I love you from the bottom of my heart, and watching you get rat-holed in the beginning of guy who made set instead of Dave was hard for me. It was hard for me watching you walk around conferences and be guy who made set, instant fucking connections with all of these other people, but not Dave, because you as a person are the most amazing motherfucker I've met in a really long time. And there's a point where you have to choose, I am not the person that you guys want me to be. I'm still me. I'm not the Nickerson on the stage yelling and ranting and saying that I'm going to, bang a bunch of hookers and do a bunch of blow or whatever. Amanda's going to just fuck me up after this. But just be yourself. Just do it. And if there's moments where you feel like you're not yourself, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to just be like, oop, gotta go to the bathroom, gotta have like the one-on-one weird LSD mirror conversation with myself and like figure out getting back in the game. But do it. It's worth those couple minutes to like put yourself in check and get used to putting yourself in check instead of devolving into something that you're not. You just don't. You don't have to be a dick to get ahead. You don't have to be a bitch. You don't have to. A lot of people really, truly feel like they have to be an asshole to get ahead. And the shit part is that our industry really supports the people being assholes instead of, as a community, taking care of that and by being like, oh, hey, if you're an asshole, you kind of can't hang out with us. We're like, oh, you're an asshole. That's funny. It's not funny at all. I'm trolling somebody. No, you're hurting them. If you were walking up to people punching them and it had the same level of impact, I have a feeling that y'all would step in and be like, yo, don't punch people, it's DerbyCon. But you let them troll somebody? Oh, well, it was in good fun. Well, I don't know, look at their face. They don't look fucking happy. So we need some awareness around that. We need to make sure that we take care of our own. And in doing that, the foundation of that is don't be a dick. Don't be an asshole. You don't have to be. Bosses and leaders, I love that graphic. I love it. I just love it. If you sit on top of the stone and bark orders at people, you're the problem. That doesn't mean that you have to be on the keys every day. It doesn't mean that you have to do this or do that. But if you're not on the team and the team works for you, you're the fucking issue. Excuse yourself. Find another industry because I don't want you in mine. We discussed that. It's just funny. When you train with people, train with them. Don't tell somebody how to do it and wait for a result. Train with them. If you know how to do it, walk them through the steps. Even if you don't know how to do it and you can get them to a point, walk them up into that point and let the expression of you being two people together be something meaningful. Don't just go, hey, do this, and then walk away. Because your time doesn't mean anything then. And I want us to have those meaningful interactions. Educate, don't judge. One of the times that I was written up in one of our security magazines of hell or whatever it is, it was me and Alex Hutton and Marcus Ranum on a panel together. And there was a lady that stood up and was pandering to the audience. And she was like, well, we wouldn't have any of these problems if it wasn't for the users. And everybody's like, woo, yeah. And they're like clapping. And all of us are furious. And I stood up and Alex tried to pull me back and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, hey. I was like, so, lady pandering to the audience, do you have kids? And she's like, what? And I was like, kids, do you have them? Children, the little things that come out of you. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, when your kids were little and they didn't know how to speak, did you look at them and be like, haha, you stupid fuck, you don't know anything. You're an idiot. Like, fuck out of here. Like, is that how you treated your kids? And she's just like, and like trying to do the dog, like, if I don't see you, you don't see me thing. But I mean, we really need to educate people. We need to take the time to educate them. If you think someone is the problem, you have identified the person you need to educate. If you say that they're the problem again, you didn't do your job. It's your fault. At that point, it becomes your fault. You've identified it, you didn't fix it, it's your fault. Asking for help is not failing at all. I learned almost everything that I've ever learned in this profession by going to conferences and meeting people, because every single fucking one of you people is a peer of mine. And I know I have a wealth of knowledge to learn from every single one of you. There is no one in here that I can't fundamentally change my life with the knowledge that they have. And until we start accepting that and getting off our, giant riding dildo or whatever the hell that people ride on stage, we're not going to progress. We're going to just sit there and just be better than everybody, and it's bullshit. You're not. I mean, I know homeless people that are much smarter than all of you. Doesn't mean a damn thing. Unless we learn from them. The partying and conferencing, just keep it under control. I've woken up like that plenty of times. And there's a certain point in my life where I'm like, yeah, it's, the difference between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock is probably me wearing the bear suit. So maybe at 3:45 I'll shut it down. I'm definitely not the proponent that's going to sit here and say, don't go play with your friends. Because I want everybody to play together. And in whatever capacity you want to play together, play together. That's how innovation happens. I don't know how many times all of you, right, have had weird bar napkin, drunk, like, scribbling hieroglyphs of shit, and then all of a sudden, like, a brand new product comes out the next day. Like, keep that shit up. Like, please keep that up. But just be cognizant of how far it's going. Get in a hobby. Get a hobby that has absolutely nothing to do with this job, please. Because I have been, in a relative term, if I was a devout alcoholic, I got a job at Coors tasting beer. Like that's what I do for a living now. I'm so into my hobby was security, and then it became my profession, and then it was my life, my profession, my job, my home. My office was in my house. I had no life at all. So get something that breaks you all the way away from this. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're knitting, running, fucking skipping stones, throwing paper airplanes, anything. Anything that just moves you away from the crazy electronic demon that's in front of us that we pray to every night. Try and get away from it. Lastly, please, please be you. I do not want to meet any of you in any of your faces. I don't want to meet your masks. I don't want to have an interaction with you that is cursory. I don't want you to tell me that, oh, I work at this company, I do this thing. Fuck that, I don't care. What do you do for fun? What kind of music do you listen to? Like, what are you? Who are you? I don't care about what are you. Who are you? But be yourself. You don't have to put on a mask just to be at a conference. And I know a lot of us feel like we have to, right? Because you have to put on the, like, I'm at the conference mask, and then we're all the same. And then because we have, like, you know, a lot of us have some agoraphobic, weird social problems, that's our best way to have, like, some type of cogent sameness where we can, like, connect to somebody else. You can throw that shit out because the other person's just as awkward as you are. Finally, just go easy. We don't have to run at the pace that we do. I've had the unfortunate displeasure of watching a number of my friends die because of this industry. And it kicks my ass every time I think about it. And I don't want to see an empty seat in this fucking room next year because somebody didn't pay attention. That's it. Thank you. Boy, that was fun. Whew. All right, let's go drink. Oh, sorry.